different every time.
Today's guest is someone whose songs feel like roadmaps, honest, winding, and full of stories worth pulling over for. Pat Mcgee's been making music that connects for over 2 decades. From selling CDs out of the trunk of his car, to signing with a major label, from packing clubs to creating a music festival that feels more like a family reunion, Pat's journey is both classic and completely his own. Let's take 5 with Pat Mcgee, the day before he shares the stage with Chris on Browns Island.
Pat Mcgee, he's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a father, a brother, he's probably a road warrior. He must be, because where'd y'all come from?
We came from Rhode Island last night, yeah.
Wow.
So how long
trip.
did you have to drive?
We left at 2, 3. We got in at 2.
That's pretty good driving.
That's not bad.
Didn't finish college, but I'm pretty sure that's 11 hours.
Well, you're known to be a road warrior. I was talking to a bandmate of mine, because I play with the Fighting Gravity guys, and Gianno, he was telling me that Dave never stopped. He was always, Pat never stops. I apologize for that.
Right. I thought you were talking about Tree.
Triana.
Yeah, Triana. Oh, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So
That is.
I've always been impressed with people who are tenacious and can stick with the program, and you really did. I mean, it was a big deal. And it's kind of an inspiring kind of thing. How do you keep that intensity up? I mean, to want to do that every time.
Well, I mean, I don't want to do the 11-hour drive, but I definitely wanted to wake up in Richmond as opposed to wake up in, growing up in the D.C. area, I know what the traffic's like. So, and it hasn't gotten any better.
It's gotten worse. All the traffic,
pretty
all the
rough.
construction.
Yeah, moving to Rhode Island where there's like a car every 5 minutes goes by.
When'd you move there?
24 years ago.
Okay.
So anyway, keeping the energy up is there's never been a plan B. So that's I'm now getting back on the road more than I was. I have an 11-year-old son in addition to my 3 daughters. And when the girls were really young, I was on the road a lot. And I'm happy to report that when I ask them about that, they're like, I don't remember you being gone.
Sure.
Like, great. Thank God. Because now I'm going to everything I can possibly go to.
Yeah.
They're in college, out of college. And so the last 11 years I've been home a lot. And we just did a 3-week tour. And I will say it was freaking exhausting because I'm 52. And
You don't look it.
not 22. So it's definitely wears on you more than it used to. Consistency is, important, I think. We'll even try and book the same hotel so it feels like we're still in the same hotel. If we keep going to the same Homewood Suites, shout out Home 2 Suites. Can I get a sponsorship, please?
So you're from Richmond originally.
I am from, I started the band here. I went to Longwood College
Okay.
in Farmville. Shout out Lancers. Longwood University now that I've left. And I'm from Alexandria, Annandale, Northern Virginia. But when I was in college in Farmville, I was having flashbacks driving over here. I was like, this is the route I used to drive back after playing Castle Thunder across in the Flood Zone every Wednesday night. And that's when Dave was playing the Flood Zone, and I didn't even know who Dave Matthews was.
Yep.
And, I don't know how we got on all this, but it's nice to be back in Richmond. And, that was a grind back then. That whole, you just kept going and playing gigs. If there was an 8th night a week, we would have done it. And now it's like, all right, let's just tour as much as we need to tour. And it feels great, to go. We just came back from a whole Midwest thing of Ohio and Michigan, and to go into Columbus, Ohio on a Wednesday, and the room is full. And it's, we're talking about 80 people, but they're 80 people that are freaking psyched to be there.
Yeah.
And they know the music from the 90s. So it's like, I'm not responsible for playing a hit song, quote unquote. I can play anything out of the however many records we have catalog. And they seem to be into it. So that's so rewarding,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to being like, oh my God, I think our numbers are slipping. I don't care about that anymore.
Well, you got close to 21,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. I was checking that out. That stuff, I think
We do? I do not.
1.2 million hits on, I wrote it down. There was one song that's really popular.
I saw something on my email that
Haven't
said something
seen for a
about
while.
5 million streams. I was like, of what? Like, I don't even have Spotify on my phone. I don't use it. I don't know any of this stuff. So that's part of the world that I probably should pay more attention to as I slip into, being able to order off the senior discount menu at IHOP.
Well, it's funny. Like
I'm technologically
should probably see if I can get some of that 5 million streams revenue working for me.
I'm part of that because I have all your CDs from back in the day, but I don't have a way to play CDs anymore.
Right.
So that's how I listen to you and Fighting Gravity.
Yeah. Well, I do have to work harder at that. There's just too many things. I know you say, we are still working hard at this, but for the most part, it does feel, for my personal career, of like, when will I have the days when I can sit around and write songs again? Because that's the only thing I would never say jealous, but like envious of someone who's at a higher level where they're like, you have enough people working for you that you can wake up and just be like, I'm just going to work on music today. Like that's not, I'd have to really cancel life to do that. And I will, because I have to put out a new record. But I got a lot of other pots on the stove going. So
yeah,
but it's exciting. Yeah, but the intensity it's sort of mandatory, whether or not it's, something that I have to, wake up and force myself to do, or, as I've gotten older, I've learned that exercise is the key to that.
So, I was doing a little research on you, and it says right before you did your first album, you didn't even have any songs. You had to write them.
That is true.
And to me, that's amazing that you went into the studio, because most of the time you've got your album already prepped, all the parts and everything like that. So,
yeah.
Are you a speed writer, or do you keep things in a cupboard and pull them out? And
I guess I'm still the kid. Procrastination is good and bad in my world. I was the kid doing his homework on the bus on the way to school, so that hasn't really changed. I've as much as I try and focus in on that in life and try and get ahead of things, I can do that on some parts, but some things they're just going to have to be done in the moment. And with my first album, I did only have a song and maybe a half, and even the song I had never played in front of people. It was just an idea of like some chord changes and a melody. Yeah. And then I asked a guy who produced one of Gravity's records, John Alasia, who was working with Dave Matthews, and who I knew from a bar scene in Georgetown. I asked him if he would produce the record, but I didn't even know what a producer did. I just thought he was the guy that pressed record. I didn't know there was like, you make creative decisions. I thought you own the gear, and I show up, and then you hit record, and then I have a record. I was so green. And remember him asking me, so Pat, what are the other songs? And what's this first song? You don't even have lyrics for it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to write them. And this was like in November of 94. And then I'd already reserved I hadn't reserved the studio yet, but in my mind, I was going to do this album, my first record, on my college winter break. So it would have been like over Christmas for like 2 weeks. I thought, I'll just knock it out over there, and then I'll come back and I'll sell it to my friends at college. And he was like, I can't produce your record. I don't know what the songs are. Like, well, why do you care what the songs are? Why can't we just hit record and all, whatever, even if you're just recording whatever. He's like, that's not how this works. I'm like, okay, fine. And I moved on down the line, found a guy in Falls Church, Virginia that would just press record.
Yeah.
And ended up, it was quite a learning process. I had my friends in Eddie from Ohio. I don't know if you know that band, but they backed me up, Eddie and Mike on drums and bass, and my friend Travis Allison, who I met in Richmond, played piano. And he just learned out how we, in the process, like, this is how you do this, make a record. And Fighting Gravity did a record at Q with
Jim.
With Jim. Yeah. So I was down the hall. I was in Q. I couldn't say I recorded at Q, but it'd be like if this was called Pyramid Digital Productions and the rest of this office is called Q. I'm like, I would say I recorded at Q, and they'd say, no, you didn't. You recorded at Pyramid. That little hole in the corner.
That's the next. It's R, Q, R. Yeah.
I couldn't afford Q. They were 75 an hour and 125 for the main room an hour, and Pyramid was 40 an hour. I was like, that sounds way better.
So you were funding yourself back then.
Yeah.
That makes it really tough because you got to feed the band. That a lot of times will kill a band's spirit. I mean, you've really got to find the right guys to be with.
Yeah, it was. I just remember every day having to cash out on this American Express card and being like, in 30 days, I have to pay this bill. And every day would be like $380, $460, $520, whatever. I'm like, this is getting expensive. I hope I saw some CDs.
You're on the mission though.
Yeah.
So that's the tenacity that I really dig. There's not a lot of people that can continue to just bust through that. Would you do like 100,000 albums just you sold yourself the very first time?
Was that before you got signed?
Yeah, we sold just a little bit over 100,000 before we went and got signed at Warner Brothers. Yeah.
So you're very entrepreneurial, obviously, and a time when probably weren't a lot of people were not as entrepreneurial. You always had that one guy in the band that was the brains, and he kind of led everybody else. But that's pretty...
yeah. It would just it came from being like, all right, I'm playing down in the bottom of Richmond and fraternity parties on the weekends, solo acoustic, and then I started bringing a band. And when I had the CD out, I didn't get the band together until after the CD was out, and I'd probably already sold 4,000 or 5,000 copies of the CD by the time I met Charlie McEwen and John Small, who John was playing with Kyle Davis, who I absolutely still to this day love Kyle Davis, everything about him. I used to travel to Fox and Hound Pub. What is that road? It's on in the south side.
Old Street?
Yeah.
I think it burned down.
It did it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So I used to go there and watch him, and it blew my mind that there wasn't like 500 people in the room dead silent listening to this guy Kyle Davis sing.
Yeah, he had an amazing voice.
He's incredible, and he was writing his own material, and that was really like inspirational to me. I'm like, you write your own songs, and at the time he was working with he was somehow in touch with Jackson Browne, and then he said something about working with Little Feat, Little River Band, and I'm like, dude, this guy he's like the other Bruce Hornsby that people don't know about.
Yeah.
So it was just inspiring to see guys like that doing their own thing. And I just thought, well, I got to get in on this. I mean, I had Kyle's cassette. I see the Boy Oh Boy cassettes here. That's awesome. I never made a Pat Mcgee Band cassette. The closest thing I did was John Alasia did produce, quote unquote, a cassette for me and my brother when I was in high school of me playing Evil Ways by Santana and Sympathy for the Devil, I think, by the Stones, and to get bar gigs in Old Town. And it was just a cassette from our little demo. Here, book my band. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, how did you get your start in music?
Well, my brother, 5 years older than me, went to Virginia Tech. I used to go visit him at Tech, and he had a band. And I was like, well, this looks like the greatest thing ever. He's having a blast. I got a guitar when I was 16 for Christmas, but I remember him showing me a few tunes, and then he went back to school, and I didn't pick the guitar back up because it hurt my fingers, as it does when you first start playing. And he came home, like, whenever you come home for summer, and he was like, so how's it going? And, this is what it was in 1986. That's when or 87, when you don't have the internet. You can't check in with your brother to be like, you still playing guitar? If I talked to him on the phone, maybe, but like, you didn't keep in touch with your college kids like I have 3 kids in college. Like, I know what they're doing pretty much every day.
Yeah.
They don't need to know that I know what they're doing every day. But, you'd go to college and not speak to your parents for like months. And then he came home from the summer. He's like, so let's play some tunes together. And, I didn't know anything. I couldn't play any of these songs. He's like, pick that thing back up. And he showed me a bunch of, classic rock covers, and away we went.
So seriously, like in high school?
Yeah, 16 years old, started playing. I mean, I played piano as every kid was forced to do.
Yeah.
And I wish I kept with it like everybody else
Mm-hmm.
that said they bailed on it. And I was forced to play clarinet because I wanted to play a horn. I wanted to play sax, but they were too expensive to rent. And we already owned a clarinet, so therefore, Pat Mcgee, you're playing a clarinet in Catholic school. I'm like, this is the lamest thing ever. Saints go marching in. I can still hear the squeaks.
Yeah, it's not even a chick magnet, the clarinet.
Oh, God. There's nothing chick magnet-y about a clarinet.
No.
I mean, even when Van Halen had it on Diver Down, it's still, I think his dad played it or something like that.
Hey, Dad, want to play on the album?
Yeah.
So what other instruments can you play?
Geez. Guitar is pretty much it. I mean, I'll write a melody on a piano. I'll sit down and play a couple chords and try and write a song. And then I'll think, oh, this is so vibey. And I'll go pick up the guitar. I'm like, that's a B minor to an A. don't act like you just came up with the next Imagine. It sounds cool on this piano. I don't even know what it is. And then I'll have to,
Do you test run them on your kids and your wife and say, hey, what do you think about this? Because you're a solo songwriter, except for maybe the new album where you guys are kind of have everybody's on the credits for that first song.
Yeah, I love writing tunes, but I mean, there was a few albums where I did do some co-writes. The Save Me record, where we were doing more of like a rock thing, which was fun to do that. And then I naturally I gravitate towards the stuff. Like when we go to make a set list or we're playing live, it doesn't occur to me like, oh, let's play something off of that record because. And it's not like I didn't write the whole song, I don't want to play it. It just doesn't feel as natural to me to play it live.
Yep.
It feels like I'm covering the Pat Mcgee band.
Isn't that funny? That's a weird feeling. When you
my
find
own
recordings you
thing.
don't even know you had, and you're like, oh, that's me.
Yeah, and I'm proud of the record, and it sounds great. The songs are cool, and they did originate from me and one other guy in 2 different sessions of that, like that. So I don't know. I grew up in the jam world of the Dead and the Allman Brothers was my obsession, and anything that leans more back into that is the way I want to.
Well, the common denominator is you. I mean, you're writing most of it. You're keeping the feel, because a lot of times bands will start out and then they'll do an album 30 years later, and you're like, it doesn't quite have the craft, but yours does. I mean, the songs are great.
Oh, that's
catchy.
nice. We tried to do that with Sugar Packet. The last reunion album we did, it feels to me like it's a part 2 of the Shine album, which was our first major record, and then jumped however many albums to the Sugar Packet. Well, we went back to Q Studios and recorded in the same room. They changed the name of
I can almost see that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was called the Red Room. We weren't upstairs. The Red Room at Q was downstairs. That's where we tracked drums for Revel. Our first full band album was Revel in '96.
Okay.
And we went back to the Pyramid Digital inside Q, but we tracked the drums and the bass and the keys in the bigger rooms.
Yeah.
So it was cool to go back there.
Yeah.
And do that for Sugar Packet. And it just was, we lost our drummer. And
what a beautiful dedication. I mean, it's his nickname, right?
Yeah. What's that?
The
Sugar Packet? Well, it was a quote that he would always, he was a big fan of Chris Farley and Tommy Boy and the whole thing. When everywhere we'd be on the road, and Chris always blew through his per diem money or whatever. He never had any money. And he would always do that quote when we would go out to lunch. He's like, oh, I'll just have a Sugar Packet or 2. So we'd all be sitting around eating whatever. And I'm like, I got you, Chris, whatever. So we called it Sugar Packet.
That's awesome.
It's like an inside joke. But yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
It was amazing. Matt, who plays drums with us this weekend, I met Matt. He goes by Chew. He was like 11 years old. Chris brought him to the Portical in Nags Head. He's a family friend. He's like, I'm teaching this kid drums. And that's who's been our drummer since Chris passed away. So he was the guy that learned from Chris and knew all of our songs already. And that's kind of hard to find someone that like knows the feel of the music. Like C-Dub played that stuff.
Especially the drummer. I mean, next to the lead singer.
Right.
The drummer is so crucial.
Yeah. If we play all the old stuff, it sounds exactly like it did, with Chris back there. So
That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
So when it comes to writing music, do you start with the lyrics or do you have a tune in mind?
I do have a bunch of things on my phone that are lyrical ideas. And I'm trying to force myself to do more of like, let's start with a fully realized, lyrical idea and then write some music. Cause normally it is like, and you could have the lyrics over here. And then if I pull up my phone right now and show videos of guitar, if I just put guitar in there for videos, there must be thousands of like, here's an idea that I came up with this morning. Well, before I took my kid to school, and then I'll revisit it sometimes a year later or something. I like to keep on it.
Yeah.
But those are the things I'll go back to. Usually it's like a riff or it's like a rhythmic pattern of chords that I've used a million times before. But in my brain, I'm like, I know where this song's going to end up on the record. And I can see all that. And it's important to get those videos down. And because I don't quote unquote read music, I can't just write it down and be like, oh, how does it feel when you play that? So I have to video record that stuff. Otherwise I will never remember what it what the vibe was of the song.
Well, what'd you do back in the day when you didn't have your phone with you?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, have you ever heard of the Roland 1680 digital recorder? We all each bought one when we got our record deal.
That's a little harder just to press record real quick.
Yeah,
you know?
I still have mine.
You have to intently do it.
And I suck at all technology. I never even had a 4-track. I went straight to that Roland thing. We did the demos for Shine on that machine. And then I think after that, it was like, I'm trying to think of the Shine. I don't know. I think we would do it at sound check. Like I'd be like, here's an idea for a feel of a song. And it sort of materialized at sound check. Yeah. We were not a band that rehearsed. We hate rehearsal. We always were not good at it.
Your impromptu, that means your musicians are pretty amazing, that they can just follow in.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to sound different every night. Mm-hmm. So I'm cool with someone. This is the version of even haven't seen for a while. It's 3 chords. Probably played it 8,000 times, non-exaggeration. And every time it's different, even though there's 3 chords, because I need it to feel like the version that's happening now. You're not going to hear the version from the record. I'll give you as much as possible because I've been to shows like Counting Crows, where we did a Counting Crows Wallflowers tour back in the day, and there was a period of the Counting Crows where Adam would just like sing whatever melody he wanted, whatever timing he wanted, and the fans are out there like trying to sing along, and they're like, and I can see he's come back on that, and what they're doing now is like it sounds like the record again. It's really cool and he's an artist, so like that's what you're gonna. You signed up for the Counting Crows, that's what you're getting. You're gonna get a different version of the song every night.
That is difficult when you go to see a band live and you know that song by heart and you're trying to sing along, and the cadence is different, and it's just like
right. Some of that's okay if you're being a big Deadhead, that's totally fine because you have a relationship with the song. But if you're more of a pop act, you can't get away with that.
No,
they won't let you do it.
Do they anyway, or do they just press play?
Well, yeah, and a lot of times they have the pre-recorded stuff in the
right.
back.
Yeah. You're hearing they have to stick to the pre-recorded background vocals.
So your show, you have a couple shows. You have a show tonight.
Well, it's technically it's like a VIP meet and greet hang at Capitol Ale House / Richmond Music Hall, I guess is what they're calling it now. Mm-hmm. We just thought these homecoming shows, there's so many friends that we want to spend some time with, and I thought, well, let's just do like a mini hang at the bar. And I thought we were going to be in the back room, in a little small room, but the band canceled tonight, so we're in the main room, but we're only going to have like 40 people in there. It's going to be like a way for us to see some old friends, and we'll probably bust out the acoustics and play some songs. But that's more of just like what can't happen on Saturday, because Browns Island with Fighting Gravity and Virginia Coalition is going to be madness. Mm-hmm. And they've already, we can't have people backstage. It's too chaotic. And I know everyone's gonna be like, where are you guys going after the show? Because that's what we used to be, a bunch of maniacs in this town.
Third Street Diner.
Oh my God.
Which
right.
is gone.
Yeah.
ODC, is that still a thing? Do you know what the ODC is?
Yeah, that's where you got a beer after 2:00.
ODC, Old Dirty Couch. I don't know if that's like the actual name of the place. Do you ever go there, Dan? ODC.
Old Dominion Club.
Old Dominion Club. There. Yeah. The band guys called it Old Dirty Couch. It was some bar that stayed up until like the wee hours. I somehow never went there, but yeah, Third Street Diner. Is that what it was called on the corner there?
Yep. 4th Street.
4th Street. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, was it 4th Street?
They were right there.
Okay, got it.
2 of them.
Although the last time I was there was an incident where a gentleman told me something about, I don't know, he didn't. We played some gig. This was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and he came up to me and told me that he hated the band and you should never play. Don't play my town. Get out of my town. Don't ever play here again. Yeah. I don't know. He came up. We were just there. Conversations at 3 a.m. at 4th Street Diner should not be. That you shouldn't be judged on your lowest moment at that place. So we didn't. There was no fisticuffs. It was just like, okay, sorry, bro. Yeah. And he's wearing like a Bob Marley Peace shirt. I'm like, you probably shouldn't wear that shirt if you're gonna scream at me like that.
Everything will be okay.
Yeah.
So what do you prefer? You like the big scenes like at Browns Island, or do you like the more of the organic kind of intimate scenes like you're going to do Friday night? And you don't have to say, I mean, they're both great, but I just wonder what you prefer.
I mean, we've been doing so much of the latter, the listening room vibe for the last few years. So I miss the big, rock shows. We did Wolf Trap last summer. But I love the energy of the band. I love that we can lean on there, and I love that we're not headlining. It's like I get to go to a Fighting Gravity reunion concert, and I also get to play. So it's like, this is amazing. It's going to be a blast. And Virginia Coalition is one of my favorite bands. They're going on before us. So we just feel lucky to be part of the bill and add to the nostalgia of the 90s Richmond music scene. And I just think there's going to be a lot of smiling faces out there.
Yeah, you feel that energy. It's going to be awesome.
I think so, yeah. So we're, I love that we get to do that. And, it feels like we got an hour set. That's an hour set for us is probably 7 songs. We can't even play as many songs as we have albums, but, it's always a challenge. Like, well, do you play all the, more songs and less jams? I'm like, well, if we listen to our old Alley Cats Thursday night performances, the first set would have 4 songs in it. And we play like Rebecca for seriously a half an hour.
You were a jam band.
I mean, legendary show at Flood Zone, we played it for over an hour. Like, I think one night we issued a refund because it was like one of them. I don't think it was my 21st birthday, but the band took me out before the show. Bad idea. And I had a limo, the whole deal. And the show was...
My face is numb.
The show was pretty out of control.
At least you had buddies that could take care of you.
Oh, man. It was just ridiculous.
That is pretty scary if the lead singer can't remember his lyrics or go crazy.
Yeah. It was the whole band. I was just the guy with the microphone.
Right,
but
right.
We were all in bad shape. But I did have enough wherewithal to tell everyone, you're all on the guest list next week. Just on your way out, sign up. There was like 700 people on a list.
Oh, gosh.
Like, sorry, we're not getting paid tonight. You don't deserve this.
Do you have a pre-show routine? Like tomorrow you have certain things you have to do?
Oh, no. I'm too laid back for that kind of thing. As long as there's some red wine around and some water.
I saw you drinking red wine. I was watching one of your podcasts, and I was like, I'm going to ask him if he likes red wine.
Yeah.
You like the Merlots, the Cabs?
I like it all. I'm, I've learned, mixing is the worst thing as you get older, mixing any booze of any kind. The band had their phases. There was a beam phase of the band. And then we got a little bit more, money. We probably had makers. And then we're like, oh, we got to lose weight for the videos. Now we got to drink vodka sodas. It was so
like
ridiculous, as if anyone could tell any
Yeah.
difference. Like, give me a break. Who do we think we are?
Awesome.
So, yeah, and I never there wasn't enough lime in a vodka soda for me to choke it down. I'm like, this thing's disgusting. Why are we drinking these? And then my road manager took me out for dinner. I'll never forget, at the Portical in Nags Head.
Oh, yeah, Frank Gajar.
Oh, Frank. What a legend.
Yes, he is.
What a legend.
I think his daughter
R.I.P.
did some sort of famous video game. She's very wealthy.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but it's a good story.
Oh, Frank is a legend. The times we've played a Portical and, but that's where my my road manager, it's like, he was a little bit fancier of a human than the rest of us. And he's like, I'm going to take you out for dinner, man. You need a real meal, and I'm going to turn you on to some French wine. I'm like, sure, why not? And then he bought me this bottle, and that was that. So that's my go-to beverage. I know it's the word. Any singing coach would be like, what the hell are you doing?
I don't think it's effective.
Why don't you just gargle glass before the show? So anyway, it's not
you
great.
definitely haven't lost your voice. I mean, some people will not have the same range, but yours kicks, and it's even got more of that meat and careworn kind of sound to it.
That's kind of you to say.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
I've been
Every
listening.
night's like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
It's not whereas Vons has probably been in some sort of a chamber like Stephen Curry, like getting ready for the finals, and he's going to come out and sing like he's 19. And I'm going to be like, oh my God, Vons, I cannot, thank God I don't have to sing after him.
You are so funny.
Do you run and jump on the stage, and are you going to be active
Oh,
like Vons is?
oh yeah. Well, that I'm still doing like a dumbass, and somehow, knock on wood, I haven't torn an ACL or anything. But yeah, I like to be active on stage. That's fun. But yeah, I mean, Vons he's just a phenomenal singer, and I learned a long time ago that you can't. We've toured with a lot of different bands that do something so uniquely theirs, and if you try as the opening band to be like, should we steer the show to make their fans like will play a little bit like them or sound kind of like. No, why are you here? You're here because you sound like you sound. Don't try and it's like opening for Kiss. You're like, all right, they do that.
Yeah,
you got to do what you do, and I think if people see that you're comfortable in what you're doing, that's not just music and anything in life. Like that's an attractive quality to be like, that guy knows who he is and he's doing his thing, or that artist, she sounds fantastic, or because I could never compete in a vocal competition with Vaughn's. It's just ridiculous. It's a huge sound of that band. It's a huge reason of like the soaring melody choices, the way he times the vocals. It's like, I can't wait to hear it tomorrow. I'm psyched. Or tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm a little warped on time. I got in at 2:00 in the morning.
Is there a song? Two different questions here. Is there a song that you love to play? Like what's your favorite song for you to perform? I know that's like asking a lot, but
yeah, I it's never there's never a favorite really. It's always nice when you can play something that's newer because you're excited to see where it'll go. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I still like to play Rebecca and haven't seen for a while, and the stuff off of Shine and From the Wood stuff, and it's because I feel like with guitar playing, you can get better. I feel bad for, and I've had times when I've struggled singing, but it's like, with an instrument, you can get better at it until you put your foot in the grave. So right. If you keep playing it, so the way I play the songs off From the Wood, if I went back and listened to how I played them back then, I'd probably be like, ooh, yikes, dude. What are you doing? Did you know you can play a G in a different part of that guitar? So it's really, it's fun to because we don't rehearse, I treat the shows, fans probably don't want to know this, but as like, I'm going to practice right in front of you.
That's cool.
And see if I can try some other things here.
That is so fun.
Is there a song?
You don't have to worry about the performance side. You can just totally be yourself and let it
go. Yeah. And, I'm surrounded by musicians who are phenomenal. So like, I can always, step back and let them do their thing.
They're nice people too. We just met them.
Oh yeah.
Wonderful people. They travel around. They're your bandmates or what do you call band of brothers or.
Yeah. I just, we've always, you can't make music. I'm a guy that's like needs to be around that positive energy. Otherwise the awkwardness is too much for the stage, Yeah. You got to have, it needs to be fun because no one's getting rich out here. So it's like, let's just make this be fun. Because if we're not having fun, there's no way those people are going to have fun.
Yeah. You're a wise man.
So,
is there a song that you don't play anymore?
Song I don't play. Fans would probably say, I don't know what that would be. I don't have like a boycott on something. I'm sure there's some tunes that have fallen by the wayside. But there was a show I did at the Rams Head in Annapolis one night where I think I was like, I felt like I played solo, and I very rarely play solo. And I felt like maybe the show wasn't enough. So for the encore, I went out and played every single song, went from memory, from song one through whatever album I was on at that point. So like, we're talking like 80 songs. And I play a verse and a chorus from every single song and change the key. And I can't believe I didn't pass out on the stage.
That's a lot of thinking.
It was like a 45-minute encore of just this stream of consciousness. I don't think it was taped. I hope not, because it was probably hideous. But so that night I covered every freaking song I've ever written.
Really?
Oh yeah, and I would be like, "What's track 8?" And I'm playing, and then someone would yell, "Go into C melodic." Okay, and then I'd go into the next album. I'm like, "What's the first song on the next record?" Oh yeah,
I've never heard of that before. That's wild.
That would be fun for me to watch.
Yeah,
schizophrenic as hell, but it was a fun way to do it. I'll never do it again. Damn it. I mean, we'd have to really work it out.
You'd have to be really connected to this flow to be pulling all that stuff out because it's nonstop. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and have just enough red wine to have the courage to try and do it, but not so much that you don't remember what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. Red wine is better. I always put ice in mine just because you can drink it quicker.
All right, there you go. All right. There you go.
Do you like to cruise?
Cruises in the boats?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we just got off the train cruise. People are always like, "You went on a boat about trains?" I'm like, no. The band Train has a cruise called Sail Across the Sun. And we have a great picture of train opening for us at the flood zone. There's a picture of us on the roof. I keep using it. Our keyboard player, Johnny Williams, his mom was our band photographer back in the day. And every time we were like remotely in clothing that didn't look like we were homeless, she'd be like, everybody on the roof of the flood zone, we're going to take a band photo. And so we have so many photos in the alleys and the stairwells by the dumpster behind the flood zone. And I cherish those things now. And she would print them she had a black light. What do you call that? Blue, what do you when you go into a dark room? Thank you. Dark room, black light room. Sweet. Anyway, the question was, do I like cruising? Sorry, man. Train got me on the sidetrack there. Yeah. So the train guys have brought us out on 4 of the last 5, 6, and we did the rock boat, which is Sister Hazel's, grand idea back in 2001 and that was the first taste of what it could be like to be on a cruise ship with a bunch of your friends. Gravity was on one of those. You didn't go on the cruise? I wasn't on
really? That. Yeah, I left in 95. I know they went out on that big aircraft carrier. I think it was Ronald Reagan.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, we did that as well. That's a whole different, that is, we went to the Middle East and landed on the Eisenhower in the middle of the Arabian Sea on a cod plane. Whoa. And Patrick and I are tail hookers.
That's awesome.
We got cat shot off like we were in Top Gun.
Really?
It was freaking madness.
Oh my God.
That was amazing. Sick. That is completely the opposite of running around on the rock boat or the train cruise like pretending you're 21 again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those boats are amazing. This company's 6th man out of Atlanta. Now they're putting on, just the best out there for music festivals, floating music festivals, for whatever the genre is. They do it all. So, we do love those events. They're great.
So you just perform? Like, how many times would you perform on a cruise like that?
You usually play 3 or 4 times, and they stagger the bands. And got on this past train cruise, Living Color was on, which I'm a huge fan of. So I was so psyched to be like, I can't believe I'm seeing these guys in this little lounge on a boat. And they talk about still having a vocal. Corey Glover sounds like he's, off of the first album. He's screaming his head off. Vernon Reid tearing it up. The whole band was amazing. So
did they play the big stadium or
on the
big
boat?
Theater show too?
Yeah,
in little rooms.
Yeah, well, the biggest stage they have on those boats, it's not like a regular cruise. They'll like sort of drain the main pools and put a huge stage, like Kiss plays on the stage. It's that big.
Really?
So that's the only part of the boat that the entire population can see a show. So they put the big shows out there. We got to play. We play there. I don't know if we didn't play there this year. Or did we? Oh, we did. Look at us. Oh, I was there. We've done 20 some of these cruises. I can't remember what the hell is what's what. But yeah, it's awesome to play on the main pool deck. And that was a good show. Now it's coming back to me. It was just late at night. It was late at night. I'm picturing playing that as normally you play it during the day, and it's like people are back in the early days of the rock boat. It was as simple as you'd go down the water slide and you'd go over to the microphone in the corner and start strumming while people are like laying on beach chairs, like, sweet, and live entertainment by the pool. And now you have Kiss playing on a boat. Like, it has exploded from Bozo in the corner playing in his bathing suit to full rock shows.
And those Lido deck bands, they always had that sing, boom, and they would put all these songs that everybody knew, but over that Latin beat.
Yeah. Well, these cruises will ruin any regular cruise for you, unless you are a big fan of Magic. And I don't know what else they do on those things. Bingo.
Do you have any more scheduled?
Not on the books yet, but you never know. They announce these cruises, and you get a call, and it's like a bat signal, and you're like, okay. And then 16 months from now, I'm going on a boat, I guess. And it's never, it's not really a vacation. I have. It's more of like, it's a great networking thing for bands. It's a great opportunity to make new fans, and it's a great way to, just get out there and play for new people and reconnect with, old friends. And but it definitely feels like I mean, I've played some corporate gigs where they're like conferences where, if anything, that's like a music conference, but it's the coolest music conference ever because you're on a boat and,
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah. I highly recommend it.
I have my next door neighbor sent me a text about some kind of Facebook thing that was going on, and he saw something from a long time ago where Carbon Leaf mentioned Taylor Swift about how Taylor opened for him back in 2007. And then you said something about a Pizza Hut moment.
Oh, yeah. Well, Taylor Swift opened for us at Longwood.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And I took Taylor to our little, you had the dining hall at Longwood, and then you, halfway through my college career there, they said, we now have Pizza Hut on campus. You can go exchange your D-Hall card for a little mini pizza, which fed about, the appetite of, a hungover 19-year-old. Like, I need 6 of those. Like, I can't have one little thing, fold it in half and it's gone. Anyway, that was my kids are in college and they have these elaborate food courts now, and they have these amazing dining experiences. And Taylor Swift was there, and I didn't know who she was. Like, that's how long ago this was. That her song Tim McGraw had just come out, and she had agreed to the college gig like 8 months in advance, like a gig for the student union. So, and I knew the student union director because I went to Longwood. She's like, we have a girl opening up for you named Taylor Swift. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that explains the hundreds of 10-year-olds on the campus. Because I'm going home to play homecoming weekend thinking this is going to be freaking awesome, man. All my college buddies are going to be on the lawn, probably beer bongs high, like the whole craziness. And then I'm looking at them like this other artist draws very young audience. And I see her and she's like, I remember talking to her. She was quite tall. So she's in her cowboy boots. She's probably 6 feet tall. And I was chatting with her about her career. And then she's like, I'm like, well, we went into the Pizza Hut, sat down, had pizza. And she was telling me straight up then that this is my plan. I'm going to do this, that. I'm going to, I have this whole vision for the way I want the show to look and the songs I'm going to write. And she was so focused, and she was 17.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm just psyched to be back playing my old campus. This is going to be awesome. I might go over to McAdoo's later. I didn't think this is success. Whether it looks like it or not, this is success. And then Charlie took this great video while they're up in the dressing room, looking down at Taylor Swift, and the line of girls waiting to get autographs was like literally across the campus. That signing line happened throughout our entire show. So like she finished her show and then signed autographs for the extent of our 2-hour show. And we were packing up, and she's still like, "What's your name, Stephanie? Okay, thank you, Stephanie." Taking pictures. I'm like, that girl is still signing autographs. We got to go.
Wow.
She was so nice. And then my bass player at the time, Mike Meadows, got a call, I don't know, a month or two later and said, would you like to be in the band? And he's been in the band ever since. So he went from the Pat Mcgee band to Taylor Swift. Congratulations.
Wow.
He's an amazing musician. He plays every instrument. I think the joke was that they asked him if he plays banjo, and he said, well, when is the gig? They said 2 weeks. He's like, yeah, totally.
I can make it happen.
I'll be there. Where's the rehearsal? So, yeah. And every time I see him up there, I'm like, damn, look at you, Mike. That's awesome.
That's cool. Do you have any other stories from the road? Well, that was a kick-ass story.
Any other stories from the road? Holy moly.
Like when you think of like the quintessential road story. PG-13, please.
Jeez. Guys, got anything in mind? I mean, just Rochester last week was pretty awesome. I mean, every night is totally different. It's I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I don't know what someone, when you come back to Richmond, you're always going to hear like the worst thing you can say to a musician that's been around for a long time. Do you remember when? I'm like, what are you going to finish the sentence? What are you going to say? Was Charlie there? It's probably Charlie. I always say that. And Charlie will be there tonight to defend himself. So, I don't know. We had a great night in Rochester where a guy came down from Canada, brought his daughter. I got him to get up and sit in with us, and he played on one of our tunes. And then I was like, all right, buddy, now get your daughter to dance with you. And then he did this father-daughter dance when we finished the second half of the song. And then the sound man stopped the show, or, at the end of the song was like, I've been doing sounds since 1971. I've never seen anything so touching in my life.
Oh, wow.
Everyone give this man a round of applause. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, buddy." Um, Later that night, I performed another song for another couple who wrote me an amazing email about never feeling accepted, and I made their life seem completely normal. And because I went and played by their table, didn't seem anything different to me. I'm just like, you want to hear this song? I'm going to come play it for you. It was their wedding song, and they said, we've never felt comfortable in this community, and now you've made it normal. So thank you. And wrote me this massive email,
Wow.
which is incredible. And then another woman came up on stage, introduced herself as, I'm Shark. And I'm like, hi, how is it going? And nowadays, when people walk up on a stage, it's a little scarier than it used to be, where you're like, what is this person going to do? There's no security. We're not playing like, this isn't a stadium gig where you can have someone get chucked off stage. If they're going to walk up on stage, you just have to, get ready to, give them a high kick or give them a hug.
Yeah.
I don't know.
High kick or a hug. Yeah.
Maybe both. Anyway, she was quite inebriated and introduced herself as Shark in the middle of the show and wanted to tell the audience that she was having a great time. And the whole band's looking at me like, bro, what is happening? And so the Shark Rochester was full of all kinds of things. I met a colorful gentleman the night before who was invited himself to the show, and he caused a scene, and it was a whole thing. It was just madness. I love Rochester, by the way. It was a great night. I can't wait to go back. Shout out Love and Cup. The place, it's like a little coffee shop that turned into like everything happened in one night. But that happened just 2 weeks ago. And there's, dozens and dozens and dozens of stories like that from, the early days of the band. And we take our time more now with fans and the experiences. Back then it was just a rolling circus.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels, it feels like it's matured and appreciated on both ends now,
Do you want to ask the final question?
Yeah, this is a good one. So we ask a lot of different musicians.
Okay.
It's a verb you'll stick in. So it's
Or noun.
or now. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. But I blank music.
I live music.
Love it. I actually agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great one.
It'd have to be. I'm usually too long-winded to answer with one word, but yeah. Yeah, it's something that I've had people come over to my house and they're like, it's so cool that you guys play music during dinner. I'm like, you don't play music during dinner? There's never silence. My parents, my parents had that record player with the stacked up thing that just kept dropping.
Yep.
That thing never stopped going all day long. I don't know if it was, and my parents were not musical. They just liked music. So I think growing up in a house that never didn't have it on.
You're constantly hearing melodies, and no wonder they're all stuck in
Exactly.
your head. Yeah.
That's, props to my folks for always spinning tunes.
Yeah.
You see it now. Some girl goes off to college and she's like a huge fan of Bob Dylan because her dad spun records nonstop or whatever. It's cool. So,
I have a question that it usually stumps people.
all right.
And I should have sent you an email. But is there a CD that you can, or an album I should say, that you can listen to from start to finish without pressing skip?
And not counting yours.
Oh God, I would never put my own on. That's definitely, you listen to your records when you're making them, and then at least I do, and then I just can't do it again because you like obsess about it too much.
Yeah.
I'll always go back to a Grateful Dead Reckoning acoustic album that made me realize, oh, you can just play acoustic tunes, and they don't sound perfect. Their performance of these songs at Madison Radio City Music Hall is like everything. It's like bluegrass, and it's like kind of rockin', and it's like hippie, then it's all these genres in one album. And it's just an acoustic live album, which I love. Led Zeppelin 2, any Van Halen record. I mean, you're asking me, you're stumping me because I'd have to give you 50 albums.
I thought it'd be an easy. I've asked so many musicians that. And
Running on Empty, Jackson Brown's album. Yeah, it's really Paul Simon Graceland. Every damn song. Synchronicity. What? Keep going. I don't know. It's too hard. But they all have a time. Led Zeppelin 2 was stuck in the tape deck of the guy who had a car in high school that we went out to parties with. So if we were going to a party, which we tried to do every single weekend in high school, it was sitting in the back of a Scirocco with Led Zeppelin 2 on repeat. And that's a kick-ass album to have stuck in your car.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, that would probably be the one.
Well, awesome. I know you're busy. You have to go get ready for your show.
Mm-hmm.
I thank you so much for coming here and talking with us. It was a blast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And is this going to air before? No.
I'm going to work my butt off to do it tonight.
All right, cool.
That way we can stick it up on the site.
Yeah, get up on the site and get some peeps out to the show tomorrow. I'm really excited to be on Browns Island. It's been a while.
And the weather is going to be perfect.
Oh, hell yeah.
73 degrees and sunny.
We have such amazing memories of being like playing Friday Cheers out there before they moved it to over by the what's the arena? Is it still there?
Coliseum?
Yeah.
Coliseum?
Coliseum. Yeah, they used to have it right outside the 6th Street Marketplace.
Yeah. But there was a time, I feel like it was on Browns Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
A while back.
And
you played there.
Oh, yeah.
And I met you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so.
Just that one.
We've had some great times out there. Yeah, when the train rolls by and you're playing and the people are out, it's just freaking awesome. So we're psyched to see everybody. And Thanks for Richmond for giving me a start, really.
Yeah.
This is the place that I was like, if I move to Northern Virginia, I don't think I'm going to make anything of myself. I'm from there, but there's just too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
And moving to Richmond and setting up shop and playing as many gigs as possible, that's really where it started. And I was able to find John Small and find Charlie McEwen and find Jonathan Williams and Al Walsh playing on the other corner and 2 flights up. Go around and get all these guys. And the last piece of the puzzle was Chris Williams. He was playing, I think, with Bobby Massano, this blues guy from Williamsburg. And that's why we say March of '96 is the start of the band, because that's when Chris joined and we had a drummer. We were playing gigs, but we didn't have the drummer. And I didn't feel confident being like, this is the Pat Mcgee band, because it didn't feel like we had it together. But as soon as we had one rehearsal with Chris, I'm like, oh, it's on. This is it. I'll never forget that gig. So it's great to be back.
Cool. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank y'all.
That was awesome.
Haven't seen